11th regular council meeting to order. Will everybody please stand? And since we're in the presence of Father Mooney, I have Father Mooney come up and do the opening prayer, please. Pray here, Father.
Loving God, we ask you to be with us tonight as we make plans for the borough of Bristol, that all we do will be for the good of the citizens of this community and the well-being of Bristol. And we ask all this in the name of Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Please salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please. Here. Here. Here.
Here.
Rodriguez. Ms. Trudell. Here. Mr. DiGiuseppe.
Here. At this time, we're going to have Councilwoman Cohen and Councilman Pezza call up Father Dennis Mooney to recognize them on a 125-year anniversary.
He doesn't look a day over 50.
I gave my seat up in the conclave to be here.
I bet you did.
Okay, Father Mooney, we have invited you here tonight to honor and celebrate 125 years of St. Mark's School. St. Mark's Church is known as the Mother Church of Bucks County. It was established in 1846. It's the oldest church in the county, and its original territory encompassed so large an area that 21 parishes have been established from it. The industrial life in Bristol Borough began to boom, and the need for a Catholic school was really important to the St. Mark Parish. So the Sisters of the Immaculate Heart of Mary began educating our children on October 17th, 1887. Sorry about that. The development of Levittown had a direct impact on the school population. There were 113 registrations for first grade in 1952. The school building was now filled to capacity and aging. Church officials labeled it a crisis situation. The property on the river was acquired with the anticipation of building a new school, but the Archdiocese did not give permission at that time to build the school. So over 900 parishioners signed a petition to Archbishop Kroll at that time, to no avail. St. Mark's closed its doors on June 13, 1969. The following school year, the children went to St. Mark Ephraim in Bensalem. The pastor at that time, Father Daly, started a building fund, and then Archbishop Kroll announced permission for St. Mark's to build on the Delaware. The building was open in 1971. By 1977-78 school term, the school was back to full capacity with K through 8 classes, and there was a waiting list for every class. St. Mark's School has been going strong ever since. Thousands of children have graduated from St. Mark's School, instilled with the principles of Catholic education. Last year, faced with the eminent fact that with the budget cuts, our beloved school was on the list for closure, Father Mooney was not going to give up without a fight. And through his courageous efforts in petitioning the Archdiocese, along with some town leaders and many parishioners, our school remains open. St. Mark's School is also celebrating its 45th anniversary of the Catholic Youth Organization, better known as CYO. Reverend George Moore founded the program in 1968, and he was instrumental in holding the children together, even though the school wasn't open at the time. On a little personal note, I'd just like to tell you that some of my family's best times were spent with St. Mark's CYO. My husband coached there, I coached there. My kids all played there, and we made lifelong friends that we will have, and cherish forever. But Father, most of all, we'd like to thank you for your valiant efforts to keep the school open and hope that you'll stay with us until you retire. And also, I'd like to thank the committee that ran the gala on Saturday night, which was a huge success in honoring St. Mark's School. Right, you want to?
Okay, and as a graduate of St. Mark's School, it is my honor to present this to Father Mooney. It is a proclamation from the Borough Council, which hopefully we'll be able to see in St. Mark's somewhere, where it says, whereas St. Mark's School has been in existence for a period of 125 years, and whereas St. Mark's School has served the spiritual and educational needs of the students of Bristol Borough, and whereas St. Mark's School has brought great pride to the Borough of Bristol. Whereas the Council of the Borough of Bristol desires to honor St. Mark's Parish and Pastor Reverend Dennis M. Mooney on the occasion of 125th anniversary of the founding of the St. Mark Parochial School. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the Borough of Bristol, and it is hereby resolved by the authority of same that St. Mark's Parish and Pastor Reverend Dennis M. Mooney is hereby honored on the occasion of 125 years of founding of St. Mark's Parochial School.
Greg was my 8th grade older boy when I was here before. Him and Vince Catorci, my two favorites, they were my favorites. They came all the time to do funerals and weddings. And so, just as he starts that again, thank you. And just a quote that's been on my mind long since our Emeritus Holy Father Benedict XVI, in his farewell address to the cardinals, he said, "I have felt like St. Peter with the apostles in the boat on the Sea of Galilee. The Lord has given us days of sunshine, gentle breeze, and days in which his catch was abundant. Then there have been times when the seas were rough and the winds against us. The Lord seemed to be asleep. I always knew that the Lord was in the boat, and he shall not let it sink." Our ship, our school, St. Mark's, 125 years. There were abundant students, sunshine, but last year we did face a rough sea and winds, and the Lord did not let us sink. We won the appeal from the Archdiocese, and now our school, St. Mark, is again abundant with students, and the sun is shining for a long future. I express on behalf of the parish, our principal, the faculty, staff, parents, and children our thanks to the members of the Bristol Borough Council for their support in that storm last year. It seemed like the entire town of Bristol was behind us. And what a great feeling it was when I rang the church bells, announcing that our school was successful in the appeal. By the way, the church bell is the same year we received that bell, the same year the school was founded. We brought out the big guns to meet the Archdiocese Review Board. Bill Salerno, member of St. Mark's Parish in Borough. Bill, he was the pro tem president of our parish council that day. And again, with the competent business manager, Fred Parcelli, our principal, Ron Walker from our financial committee, we did our homework. And you helped us to save a Catholic education in Bristol Borough, especially when our school is the oldest Catholic school in Bucks County. And we take great pride in that fact. Our Archbishop Charles Chaput will be here on October 13th to celebrate the closing Mass of the 125th anniversary. And we hope that all the members of the Borough Council, the mayor, all here will join us for this historic event. Again, I thank all the members of the Borough Council who are behind us in this, and the love you sent to the Archbishop to support us and to help us in this cause. So again, thank you very much for your support, being behind us. And I hope to see you October 13th. You're all most welcome to come to that celebration as we celebrate. And God bless you and thank you, because we are the best in Bucks County. God bless you all.
Okay, at this time we have a presentation by Riverside Theater. come up here, Susan?
So, might as well. It's scary. I don't do this. Hi, everybody. My name is Susan Atkinson. I'm the founding director of Bristol Riverside Theater, and I know most all of you, everybody in this room. Hi. I want to tell you about something we're doing. You may have seen around town already these blue flyers. Pick one up and read them. You may have remembered years ago we did in Kane Mutiny Court Martial. There were members of the town that were on the judges panel for Kane Mutiny. Then we did Brigadoon, and there were members of the community that were in that musical. Now we're doing Inherit the Wind, which is intrinsically about a small town. And not unlike Bristol, with raising the bar and the other things we're doing in town, tried to make a bigger presence for itself. And that's why the Scopes Monkey Trial, as they call it, ended up happening in this small town in Tennessee. Well, I'm going to try to recreate some of the town involvement that brought Inherit the Wind about. And by that, we are asking those of you in the community who are interested, and we hope a lot of you are, because there is room for a lot of you, to participate in the production, and by being on stage, by helping us backstage, whatever. You can read this, you'll see it at the library, you'll see it at the Wawa, and any place else I happen to be, and other members of the staff happen to be. And what we are doing, you can go to our website and see the dates, because I know just saying them isn't enough, but it's open to ages 107 to 7. Okay? We draw the line at 7 because control becomes an issue after that. Okay? And any gender. And we will be meeting on Tuesday, March 19th and Saturday, March 23rd. The times are on the website, and it's at 201 Cedar Street. You can call the theater and make an appointment. The phone number is 215-785-6664. Either go to our website or pick one of these up, and obviously I'm going to leave them right out there so you can do it. And now I'll turn the evening over to Raina.
Hi everyone, my name is Raina Adams. I'm the marketing director at Bristol Riverside Theater, and I'm very happy to introduce two of our stars of our upcoming production, The Pirates of Penzance. Patrick Dunn and Noor Cordero, come up, yes. They're going to talk about the show.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. It's a little terrifying because this is reminiscent of the courtrooms that I used to be in. Clearly one of us is the better looking of the other, and so the opposite does the talking. I'll give it to you, buddy.
Does it seem like I'm the one who does the talking? We just wanted to come here representing the cast of Pirates of Penzance to let you know about a promotion that we're doing. Thanks to this council, we're able to offer $5 tickets for next Tuesday the 19th and Wednesday the 20th. Come see Pirates of Penzance. It's a wonderful show. We're very excited about doing it. We're having a great time here in Bristol.
Yeah.
And it's full of...
It's an old operetta, but what we've done with it, the director Keith Baker, he's modernizing it, so it's very contemporary. It's easily accessible by a large audience, as it usually was when it was done in the 1880s. He's pretty funny.
Swashbuckling pirates, frolicking maidens, dancing police officers.
Yes, just
and
like
Patrick in extraordinarily tight pants.
Literally a women's size 8 is the pants that I wear in the show. So instead of that $5 footlong, rethink it and get a ticket to the show, because although it won't be as filling, it certainly has less calories.
You thought about that.
I slept on it. I practiced it in the mirror this morning. It didn't hit as hard as I wanted to. It's really okay. Ralph, come on, give me something, Ralph.
Because you talked about the size 8 before you talked
Is
about
that what
the
it was?
calories. Yeah.
Robin, if I don't see you at those Inherit the Wind
Juxtaposition.
auditions, I'm going to be really upset with you. So that's it. Come out to the show Tuesday and Wednesday. You get $5 tickets, the 19th and the 20th.
And you have to bring some ID.
Yeah, Bristol residents bring a driver's license or some proof of address, and you'll have an amazing evening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. got mayor's communication. What do you have, Bob?
I'd like to read something here. It's called the definition of a cheerleader. Physical activity, sometimes a competitive sport based on organized routines to direct spectators of events to cheer on sports teams at games or participate in competitions. With all the activity surrounded by your cheerleading, you have cheered us into pending lawsuits. You have discredited the mayor's position to have council placing the seat sitting in the corner of council room where they put you while you were serving as mayor. Your cheers have left the legalities of the position that now is a cleaning up of what is left undone, and I to clear and clean up. I do not agree with you on anyone else that you positioned yourself as a cheerleader. Our children who cheer for the best team, this town, and promote what they believe in, this town. So for you to say you are a cheerleader for this town, what happened? The cleanup of your cheers have put this town in a delicate position, and this council is trying to keep us above water so financially we do not drown from those past cheers. Mr. Joe Saxon, we cannot afford your cheers at this time. Yes, you may run for mayor. It is your prerogative. It is the American way. We have all fought for the freedom, but at this time I am announcing again, running for re-election for this great town. The cleanup of jobs is not done. I am Robert Lebo, the mayor of Bristol. Thank you. That's all I have.
Now we're on the public participation. Anybody on this side of the room would like to speak on anything, please go to the podium and state your name.
Good evening. Name is George Ditto, Jefferson Avenue in the borough. A little nervous. I've never done this before. I moved back to Bristol. My intent was only to stay a few years till my son graduated high school from Bristol. And along the way, I kind of got drawn into the politics and watching the meetings on TV. And I've always been a pretty underdog. That's what I did in Florida, fought for people with mental illness. And I can honestly say that I don't really think that the council does a very good job of communicating with the public. People come up here and they're either ignored or belittled. There's infighting on the council floor, which I think is ridiculous. There's no need for it. Being politics is the equal exchange of information. It's a flow from the bottom to the top, and then the top takes what everybody gives and disseminates the value of it and makes policy. So with that, I am running for council in the South Ward, and will make myself available to all the constituents of the South Ward with any concerns, issues they may have, and I will help them address them. Thank you very much.
Anybody else on this side of the room would like to speak on anything?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. A little confused at the mayor's comments because, to tell you the truth, I'm not really sure what he's talking about. But I won't take the opportunity to respond because I don't think it's a proper venue. But I will say this. If you'd like to debate what you said, or you'd like to have a discussion on what it is to be a mayor, I'd be more than happy to have 2 or 3 debates with you and to let the people make the decision after that. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anybody else on this side of the room? Coming up tonight.
Yeah, really. Jim Kirk, Fillmore Street. Mr. Pez is in the audience who was here last week talking about raising the bar. And sadly to say, what we just had here was kind of ridiculous. This is not, in my opinion, a place to declare a candidacy, have a debate in public before anybody is aware of any debate that's taken place. So I just don't know when this became a candidacy elect area. That being said, last week, talking on a positive note, last week Mr. Pez was up here talking about raising the bar. You guys did a lot of good things for Bristol. I disagree with some of them. I'd let you know I disagree with them. Some of them were over the top. I'd let you know it was over the top. But all in all, Bristol looks good. As Raising the Bar's committee was here last week, they agreed. Now they need the town to pull together. That's the school board and the council. You can't be two separate entities. Even though you are two separate entities, you have to work together. All you guys have to work, and women, have to work together, not be at each other's throats. Yes, sometimes you do show your arrogance. You have to control it. Okay? Just because you don't like somebody or you don't like somebody's group, it doesn't matter. We're all here together to speak and to make this town work. It's not going to work if we're at each other's throats. You have Yardley, you have Newtown, I said this before. Those towns are thriving. New Hope, thriving. Why? Because they probably get along. Sure, they have some disagreements, but look at their towns. They're thriving. Businesses want to come in. Young families want to come in. The older people want to stay. They feel safe. I feel safe. I think the police department's doing a wonderful job. Okay? I think Bristol will survive if people would just let the past be the past. Bristol at one time, the Irish didn't talk to the Italians. St. Mark's and St. Anne's never got, there was division all the way up. Let's forget about it and bring Bristol together where we can thrive. Raising the Bar is doing a great job, but without your help, the school board's help, and the citizens, what good is it to put their time, they're wasting their time. Thank you.
Anybody else on this side of the room would like to speak?
Mr. Kirk, my name's Pat McLaughlin. I live on 3rd Avenue in Bristol. Mr. Kirk said that there's times that there's arrogance in this assembly. Of course there is. Because when somebody is called to the line to answer for things that are ridiculous, I don't blame them for trying to defend themselves. This is not arrogance, this is truthfulness. And that's what we want from our people. We want the truth. And like I said, this council has done very well. Our town never looked better. As he said, the town never looked better. It couldn't look any better than what it does right now. There's room for improvement. Let's face it. There's no place in this world that's absolutely perfect. There are sections of, even Hawaii, where it's beautiful. There's sections that are not that nice. But that's human nature. And that's the way life goes. We can't make everything the way we want it. But to all the people in this council, and to the solicitor, and to everybody here, and the mayor, everybody here in this room, chief of police, the chief of fire, I think you guys are doing a fabulous job, and I think you need for the people to reach out and tell you, job well done.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else on this side of the room would like to speak on any issue? Anybody on this side of the room would like to speak on anything?
Jim Lutz, East Ward. In going through the Mill Street parking lot last week, I noticed that the roof of the pavilion down at the wharf is being replaced. I know it was discussed at the work session, but what was the cost associated with that?
$19,000.
Pardon me?
$19,000.
$19,000. Go out to bids?
Quotes.
Pardon me?
3 quotes.
3 quotes. Do you have those quotes?
Yes.
Was it discussed with council? The quotes?
I'm not sure, Jim. I'm
Not sure.
Paid for by the insurance company.
By the insurance company? Okay. I would think that might be something the council would like to be aware of. Probably a more important concern that I
I
have,
think I advised them last week that the work was being done.
you mentioned it at the
And
work
it's now
session,
finished.
but not the cost.
All, Jim.
And where did Mike, you said the money came from the insurance company? Mr. Dillon?
Insurance company's paying for it. That was from the hurricane.
Very good. Thank you. Probably a bigger concern, Mill Run was also discussed at the work session. And you indicated that there were a few potential buyers for the property. My concern, obviously, that the potential use for that property is compatible with the neighborhood. So could you tell us what those uses or proposed uses are going to be?
Well, all the people right now that we're dealing with are all in a nursing facility, assisted living.
Okay. Well, 30 years ago, there was an outfit that tried to put a psychiatric center at that site.
Do you really think this council would put anything in there that doesn't
Well,
conform with the area?
I certainly hope not, Ralph.
Well, that's a ridiculous statement to make.
Okay. No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It wasn't ridiculous 30 years ago when they brought it up.
Well, we weren't here 30 years ago.
Okay. Pardon me?
We weren't here 30 years, and I don't think there's a member of this council. I mean, Councilman Pezza and Cullen's been at every meeting. Councilman Sabatini's been at one of the meetings also. And everybody we interviewed is all nursing facilities.
Well,
Same use that was in there.
30 years ago, I formed a committee to prevent that. In fact, Mr. Saxon was on that committee, and that committee was very successful in getting them to change their mind and their location. We have to do it again, we will. Thank you.
Anybody else on this side of the room would like to speak on anything?
How's it going, guys? League President, Little League, I'd like to thank you guys for all the work you had done. Everything looks great. Really appreciate it. Opening day is going to be April 13th. Everybody who would like to come, please attend. Be great. Also would like to say Sunday is our last day for sign-ups, 12 to 3. So please get your kids out to sign up. It's imperative. We got to get uniforms done, drafts done, everything. The parade, we're going to have the parade again this year. It's going to start at the tennis courts or basketball courts. I already talked to Herb about the fire trucks. We'll get them, marching up the street. That's going to be at approximately about 10:30 in the morning. And I'd like to thank Mr. Dillon personally. Everything I put out to him, it's like instant reply. Takes care of everything I asked him for, so thank you. And that's all I got. You got anything? What was that?
Oh, well, the field looks great. The field was completed last week. And once again, thank you. And that's basically it, right?
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you two guys, because I know you put a lot of time and effort into that.
Thank you.
Can I ask him a question?
Sure.
As someone that's interested in coaching T-ball, how do they go about getting involved?
Yeah, just help them come in. Are they signing the kid up too, or
No, it's someone that's a college student.
just tell them to come down Sunday?
Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
Thank
take
you.
care of them, yep.
Yeah, we want to thank council for the field. Looks great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Anybody else want to speak on anything?
Before we finish, can I address something that Mr. Lutz had said? I don't want to make this a political forum, but I just want to say that to the East Ward people that we will not put a psychiatric ward. That was not on in any of our meetings. Greg and I are very diligent about who and what is going to come into that building, and it's going to be very good for the neighborhood. Please don't worry. You have our word on that.
I guess if misinformation was the goal of the evening, perhaps mission accomplished, but in no way, shape, or form have we even remotely entertained anything of the sort, nor would we ever, and it's almost offensive to insinuate as such.
I agree.
So, it will not be a psychiatric ward.
And if I might add, that what was going on in this town 30 years ago is a far cry from what's happening today in this town.
When everybody fails to forget, it's March. So you got March, April, May, and then you won't see anybody for another 3 years.
3 years.
Except the Golden Girls.
That's right.
Right, every meeting.
Does anybody else want to speak? Mr. Pezza.
I'd like to announce that I'm going to get a hoagie after this meeting and go home and watch some television. I want to thank the council for fixing that roof at the pavilion. There's a concept in towns that have trouble, and that is like the broken window concept. You see a broken window, you fix it. You see any graffiti, you take care of it. You take care of it right away. You don't lower your standard, and that's the kind of thing we have to do. So, especially since it's paid for by insurance, I appreciate you doing that. Just one more thing. I think everybody in this room, on both sides of the aisle, we have good people here. Let's leave our differences outside that door, and when we come here, let's pledge ourselves for the next 3 months during what politicians call silly season. Let's pledge ourselves to be positive, to talk about what we're for, not what we're against, and to all work I think we can work together at the same time that we share legitimate differences. That's what democracy is about. I think we can do that in a positive way. And I think that's what the people out there want. I think they're tired of the other stuff. I think they want to hear, what are you going to do for this town? So thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Bill.
Anybody else want to speak about anything tonight? That ends public participation. Where are you on the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of 2/11 and 3/4, accept the treasurer's report for January, accept the police and DJ's report for February, accept the fire chief's report for February, accept the inspector's report for February, accept the planning commission report 2/25 and 3/4, and to accept the harbor report and decisions 2/25.
Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Cullen. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 4.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the pre-final minor subdivision for Oak Ridge Investments, 208 Penn Street, tax parcel 4/019-196, which expires 3/17/13, and I'd like to, for the solicitor, I'd like to yield to the solicitor for his comments.
Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Pezza. Questions or comments? Mr. Salerno.
I really just want to fill out the, the rest of the motion. So this preliminary final subdivision plan from Oak Ridge for Penn Street is based upon plans originally dated 7/18/12 and amended thereafter by Dumac Engineers. This approval is conditioned with compliance with the Borough Engineer's letter of 2/22/13, which includes a recommendation of waivers. This is conditioned or recognizes the variances granted by the Zoning Hearing Board, conditioned upon the county letter of January 8, 2013, conditioned upon the funding and execution of the appropriate development agreement and finance agreement as necessary, and compliance with all other permits that may be required, and a formal letter will be issued within a week.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 5.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to authorize advertisement of the amendment to the zoning ordinance that's in our packet.
Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Trinnell. I'm so sick right now. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 6.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the purchase of the backstop for the hardball field on Garden Street from Area Enclosures Fence Company in the amount of $12,100.
Second. Second by Ms. Cullen. Questions or comments? Mr. Sabatini.
Yes, now, this purchase for the backstop, is this the first field that's on the 800 block of Jefferson?
No.
Okay.
We discussed this before. This is
Yeah.
the big hardball field in the back.
Okay.
Big baseball field.
Okay, I'm fine with that, but I have
Mr. Devine.
other business.
My question is, did we get any pricing for the protective fencing that would go on to protect?
Supposed to be here this evening. George, I know, was working on it. Did anything come in?
No.
I met with the fence company out there and asked them if they would give us a price on extending the fence along the tot lot on the softball field and the hardball field, 8 feet high. And if they would give us a price on extending the canopy over home plate on the big softball field. And that was supposed to be in our packets, or supposed to be here this evening. It's probably going to not be here, but we need to approve this, so I'm asking council to authorize the manager, if the price comes in tomorrow, to authorize the work to be done.
And didn't we discuss, Ralph, that we would get the engineers? Wasn't that the discussion on this? That we weren't getting prices, we were getting the engineer to do an evaluation as to whether it was necessary. Right, Greg? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
The engineer basically said that they would have never allowed the tot lot to go in if they felt there were any danger. But if council wants to put a fence in, they don't see a need for it, but they said an 8-foot-high fence, they don't think anybody's going to hit a home run and be higher than 8 feet in the air as it's going out.
That's what you're asking for in motion number 8, right?
No, this...
No, all we're saying, Mr. Devine brought up, we have a motion on the floor which
Which is number 7, right? That's
number 7, which
right.
has nothing to do with anything else. So why don't we just finish number 7? Any other
We're on
questions?
6.
I think number
6.
Yeah,
number
we're on
6. Number
6.
7 is what you're talking about, Tom.
Yeah, so, all right, so we're back to the same question. Again, it's the safety concern, and we're going, Gilmore Associates is our engineer. They're
Listen to me, we have a motion on the floor with 6. We could discuss this under other business.
That's what
Tot lot's irrelevant to this
It has
motion.
nothing to do with
Oh,
it.
the
We're
backstop.
voting on the backstop.
All right, well, all right.
Any other questions on the backstop? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? What's that, Tony?
I said aye.
Okay. Number 7.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the borough manager to proceed with the additional work at the ball fields.
That covers the things that we're discussing. Do I have a second by Mr. Pezza? Questions or comments? Mr. Devine?
Yeah, the first question is, with that fence, again, it was a safety issue that I brought up. I know we talked about, protecting property damage, windows and, cars being damaged from foul balls and fly balls or whatever it's going to be. My concern was the safety reason. For those kids that are playing there, they're not playing there with baseball helmets on. They're just playing, while there's baseball and softball games going on. What is the engineer saying? Why does he not believe? What type of statistics does he have to show that a kid that's 11, 12 years old isn't going to hit a baseball 8 feet high that far? Because when I was in Little League, I've watched plenty of balls go that far. And there's somebody in the room right now who's hit one that far. That he could...
I think the question was, if we have that much concern, then all the fields from center to left should all be fenced in. And then this minor league field that has the backstop that the foul balls come over should be fenced in. And the entire softball field should be fenced in. And the big hardball field going down the sidelines should be fenced in. And the Little League field on Jefferson Avenue should be fenced in from a foul ball going into the stands where people sit, which happens. So you're in a baseball complex. So you're looking at, and I agree with you, if there's something we could do to protect somebody from hitting a home run, but where do you end this? Do you want to fence everything in, so a foul ball, a foul ball over a backstop, a home run from center field to left center when kids are walking out there don't get hit?
No,
Do you want to put a fence around the entire softball field so nobody can get, so it's the same, I think their analogy is, you got an area where kids are playing on the swings, but they're also playing all over that, in between all the fields.
Right, but I'm looking at it in the sense of, I'm not talking about the regular, like if you go to a baseball field, right? If you're going there to watch a baseball game, your kid or whoever you're watching a game, right? There is an innate danger at some point that you could, you got to be ready, you're watching a game, you can be hit with a ball. What I'm talking about is we put the playground there. We put it there. So we decided to put a playground there. There are kids there playing. They're not paying attention to a baseball game. They are playing. They don't have protective gear on. And how are they going to be able to stop a ball that gets a line drive or a ball, not even a line drive, a ball that's hit over the fence? How are we supposed to protect them? And then legally, what leg do we have to stand on when we say, listen, we put that thing there?
But can I just ask, is what you're talking about, Tony, any way relevant to motion number 7?
Yeah, absolutely it is. Motion number 7, it says authorize borough manager to proceed with additional work at the ball field. That's
What
very,
we've agreed to thus far.
what do you mean? Yeah, this was what
Well,
we
we have
talked
a
about last
motion.
week,
We
Rob.
didn't make any decision about this
We
last
have a
week.
motion on the floor in a second to proceed with fencing in the area behind the playground on the hardball field and on the softball field, and to put a roof over top of the big softball fields to stop foul balls from going over. The only other thing we can do to secure nobody will get hit with a foul ball or a ball that's hit as a home run is to put a bubble over the complex.
Right, I think you're
I mean,
missing
I
the
don't
point,
know.
and I know you love to exaggerate things. I'm not asking you to put a bubble
Well, what do you
over
want
the
us to
complex.
do? Tell me what you
No,
want,
what I
and
want you
we'll
to do
do
is,
it.
I want you to protect kids that are playing in a playground at a baseball field where they're in between two places where people can hit home runs. I think it's
Well,
simple.
aren't we doing that?
No, of course
So
not.
you're saying an 8-foot-high fence isn't enough?
I'm not a professional. I think that's something that we got to figure out. You
Well,
already
we
said-
did. I just told you before this, we
You
discussed
told me
it.
the engineer, right, this is what you said. You said the engineer doesn't think that you need to do it anyway.
But we're-
Because they were okay with putting the playground there.
But I
Without
said-
any fencing, which I do not agree with. There's no way in the
But I
world.
said to you that we're getting a price on putting an 8-foot-high fence up behind the hardball field and the softball field. Is that good enough?
Like I said before.
Or do you want to go 12 feet?
But we
No,
haven't
no.
authorized, we don't even know what the price of a 12-foot fence.
Right, we don't know what anything. All I'm saying is, I want somebody to go out there, right?
We did.
You did, you said that they're not worried about it. Are they willing to sign a waiver that says,
They're not gonna
listen,
sign
we are
anything.
going to take full responsibility if a kid gets hit in the head with a baseball? Is that what you're saying? Well, they sign that.
Why would anybody
They
sign?
sign that.
No, you get an engineer to sign it. Why don't you do this?
Yeah.
Why don't we tell our engineer
Mhm.
that, to stop what he's doing,
Mhm.
you bring us an engineer
Okay.
and tell us what we need, and we'll do it.
Well, we'll look at the
Okay.
cost to do it. We're giving it an open
Is
check.
that good enough?
Yeah, that's
All right,
very
so
good.
you get an engineer tomorrow to go out there.
Now, it's tomorrow, you gotta,
Well, you gotta move quick because games are starting.
no, I'm gonna move as fast as it's safe for the kids. That's how fast I'm gonna move. I'm not gonna just get an engineer to go out there and
But
say,
we
look, I
want-
got an engineer. I wanna make sure those kids are safe and they're not gonna get hit
That's
with
what I
balls.
think we did last week. We moved immediately on your
No,
recommendation.
you didn't, because the engineer was supposed to go back out there and look at it. That's what everyone said here. They didn't go back and look at, they said the same thing that they said before, which was, they don't even know why they gotta go out there. It's fine where it's at, which it's not to me. I don't feel that it's okay.
Well, when did you get your engineering degree?
I didn't.
Can we vote
I
on
got my
the
master's
motion?
in-
Can we
in-
vote on the
in
motion on the
teaching. That's
floor?
what I got.
Can we vote
What
on the
degree do you
motion?
have,
I'm gonna
Ralph?
ask for a motion to table
What
7.
degree do you have?
To table 7 and let Mr. Devine get back to us with an engineer and a height restriction.
I have one concern about that, and my concern is when we're authorizing the manager to proceed with some additional work, I do think there's some cosmetic stuff that needs to be done there, and there are some things that we're trying to do for the girls
For the
softball
girls
field and the
softball,
move.
that's what I thought.
So I don't want that to
You
be
want to
held up.
move on the softball field and not the 8-foot fence?
Well, I would, if we want to still explore what we're looking for with Tony, if that's what we want to do, I would like to separate the two somehow.
That's
I don't
what I
want to
think we should do.
I don't want to have the manager authorize somebody to put up an 8-foot fence and it's not
But
adequate.
why can't you
Right,
just
that's fine with me,
authorize the
yeah.
manager to do the work that we've all ratified at this point?
So let's
And then that be a
change your
separate issue?
motion to authorize the manager to get everything done except the fence in the outfield of the fields.
And while we're waiting.
Because as of today, I don't know of any kid that ever got hit with a ball.
And in the
So,
meantime, Tony, we're waiting on you to,
to present us
Meet
with
with the
something,
engineer.
let Tony deal with it,
okay,
okay?
yeah.
So,
But
everybody
we're gonna make sure
understands
that
the
Change
motion.
the motion.
Girls softball, we're gonna put the lid on the field
Taken care of.
and all the little things that we need, and we'll have Mr. Devine get back to us with
Okay.
a recommendation for the outfield.
Do you want me to reread the motion?
Sure.
Okay, motion number 7, to authorize the borough manager to proceed with approved additional work at the ball fields.
That's good.
Okay, second by Mr. Pezza. Questions or comments? Mr. Devine?
Yes, can you give me a list of what these additional costs are gonna be?
With what, Tony?
Can you give me a list of what this additional work at the ball fields is?
It's going to be less
We
than...
just got done saying what it is.
Well, I want to hear what it is, so
It's
I
the
can write it
lid
down.
on the big softball field to try to stop the balls from going over the press box.
Okay.
It's some screening around the dugout, so when the kids are there in the dugout, people aren't bothering them, they have some privacy. And I think it's fixing some couple minor piece of fence that may be bad.
I also believe they're evaluating the scoreboard to see if that's fixable.
Evaluating, if not, we're looking at a new scoreboard to put up that says Bristol Borough on the scoreboard.
For the softball field.
And what approximation are we making dollar amount for these?
Have no idea.
Okay, so we're authorizing the borough manager to proceed, and we have no idea how much it's going to cost?
Nope.
All right, well,
But we're out of time because high school starts in, I think, a couple weeks, so we don't have time to come back with this. So I think he's been manager for 40-some years in this county. I think he can make a decision.
And these
If
are
it's-
minimal repairs.
If it's
These are not-
something that's totally outrageous, I'm sure he'll contact everybody. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
no.
Now,
Okay,
and now I'm going to bring up other business, please.
go ahead.
On the softball field, the big softball field, I'm getting a lot of complaints on the 800 block of softballs ending up in people's houses and ending up on their front porches.
Okay.
Now, I'm not an expert at softball, but the person who gave me this information is very credible, the people, I should say. And so I'm looking for the safety of Jefferson Avenue, so softballs don't get through.
You just voted against the motion to protect that.
You said to protect us for the
Wait, then,
The
I
lid.
got that motion totally wrong then.
Well,
Because
I just
I was
said,
under
we
the
want to put a
impression-
lid over, extend the canopy to stop foul balls from going over the press box and landing somewhere.
8 feet?
No, the lid, you know the backstop?
Yeah.
It stops here, home plate's where you are. They want to bring it out to try to stop that.
I was asked if I could, as a councilman, to represent the person and people for a fence that was elevated a little bit higher. like a mesh fence?
You're talking about running the length of the baseline.
Right.
You're not talking about the backside.
Exactly.
Is that part of it? Is that, because I didn't get that in there. That was in
No.
there, right?
That's what I said, besides putting fence around this complex and they play inside this bubble, I don't know what else you want to do.
It's also my understanding that the athletic director recommended that extension, not the fence, so that, because it was his estimation.
Because he said they had college games there last year,
Right.
and the only problem they had was foul balls going over on the press box on the Jefferson Avenue in the 800 block.
Now, I got a
Besides
question.
that, they
Okay,
didn't
so
have...
Do you think, I'm sorry, go ahead, Pam.
Excuse me. Mr. President, is that going to happen this year with the college team coming back?
I don't have an idea if they're coming back, but it shouldn't matter, because we just voted to put up a canopy over home plate.
And you
And it's
feel,
supposed to prevent that from happening.
you
Now,
feel
will
that
it
that's
stop
enough?
99.9%? I don't know, I'm not the guy that's designing this. But I mean, you gotta go by your experts, and that they're telling us this is what you need to do.
That's in there specifically to deal with what you're asking about.
Okay.
Will it work? I mean, hopefully and probably,
Okay.
but that was specifically designed to deal with what you're
And
asking
if it
about.
doesn't work, we revisit it.
Okay.
And if it doesn't work, Mr. Devine's engineer could come back with a recommendation.
And the
Now,
motion
here's the other question.
I really think
carried
that
anyway, right?
Mr. Devine is just looking out for the safety of the children.
We all are, Pat, but we had a recommendation.
That acts like we don't care about the
We
children.
had a
Pat.
recommendation that he doesn't agree with, or we would have had it done this week.
Let's put our heads together and try to come up with the best thing instead of arguing about,
We
you know.
did, Pat. We met out there. The guy recommended an 8-foot-high fence in the outfield because they feel that a ball that would have to be hit over 250, 260 feet in the air to clear an 8-foot-high fence.
Let's go
Divine
back on
thinks-
what you're missing. See, the point that you're missing is this, ready? You keep saying I'm not saying an 8-foot fence wouldn't work. All I'm saying is, you said the engineer didn't think he needed to do anything. It was okay the way it was. He didn't even see the need because they were the ones who put the playground there in the first place. So they didn't think there was a need to put anything there. The children were protected where it was because nobody could hit the ball that far. Now I find out there's college games there. Are you telling me college players can't hit the ball that far too now?
They say there was maybe one home run hit.
Come on. It's a joke. It's a joke. Of course they could hit the ball that far. Your argument is that the engineer said he recommends an 8-foot fence, right? That's what you're trying to say that I'm going against, which I'm not.
I'm not saying you're going against
That's what
it.
you just said.
What I'm
Less than
saying is
two sentences ago.
we were going to put up an 8-foot fence this week.
Right, and I said, is that what you recommend? Is that going to be a barrier, a safety barrier for the kids playing?
They feel it is.
They feel it is. They also felt, like you said.
That you don't need it.
Right.
Because
So-
you're not fencing in the rest of the outfield.
So if they feel you don't need it, what I'm saying is, we're agreeing that we don't even need it. So why would we spend money to put an 8-foot fence if we don't believe that we need it?
Because you just said anything to protect the kids.
I would do anything to protect the kids.
Okay, so that's why we're doing something.
Mr. President, you gotta remember one thing. These fields are in our ward. the
Our
North
children
Ward.
play on those fields.
Excuse me, I'm trying to get back.
Yeah.
And the citizens that live on that street, okay? And some of them get hit, their cars get hit, some of them get softballs hit into their homes, into their porches, so forth, so on. Tony's talking about the safety of the children. I'm not a baseball player. I'll admit it. But safety is a big concern.
And that's why we acted on it immediately.
Ralph, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Greg. I just want
Go ahead, Greg.
I am really not trying to be antagonistic, kind of building on what Mr. Kirk was saying tonight. Do you want the fence or don't you? I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if you want it or if you don't know.
This is what I think, I don't understand why it's so difficult for people to understand. we had, right, I want to protect the kids, right? If they came out and said, listen, an 8-foot fence, right, the trajectory from a ball being hit over an 8-foot fence wouldn't have the ability to land there. I want somebody to tell me that's what's going to happen. I don't want an engineer to go out there and say, well, we didn't need it anyway, so let's put an 8-foot fence and make them happy. Right? I want to make sure that what we're putting there makes sense.
Okay.
And it's necessary.
So, well, what I was doing, what we thought, I think most of us thought we were doing, based on your recommendation, is that the engineer already told us we don't need it. We just thought that you were saying maybe the added safety would be a good thing. That's why I voted for it. The engineer told us we don't need it, so I voted for it because I thought that's what you wanted. So I'm honestly confused about what you want.
This is why, because I'm basing it on what I think myself. Do you think that we don't have to worry, the kids don't have to worry the way it's set up now? Do you feel that?
I honestly don't know. I don't feel qualified to answer that question. I really don't.
Right, so why is it hard for you to understand? I don't feel qualified to know.
The engineer did.
But I don't trust what he's saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you gave me the authority. I'm going to find an engineer to say, I mean, that's simple to me.
And I would just like to say that kids from all over the borough play at those ball fields, so we all have
We all have a
vested
common
concern in that.
Listen, please don't try to turn it around.
Oh, I'm certainly not.
I'm not saying that all the kids don't turn there. I'm just saying that in respect to property value. Tony brought up the situation with the children. That's it in a nutshell. Because years ago, we used to have a men's softball field there, and it was nothing but a disaster.
Well, there was a 16-foot high fence there before, and they used to hit it over the fence.
Yeah, they used to-
So where do you draw the line? So,
Well, what did we do? We got rid of this men's softball league.
Mr. Devine,
Are we still in other business?
I don't know, you've got the floor.
All right. Well, since we're talking about other business, and Mrs. Cullen brought up a good point, there are other kids there, and we do care about everybody in the ward. And that gives me the perfect segue to bring up, now, Mr. Plensky's a councilman who's been missing, right? We've had 3 months of meetings, 3 months of meetings. He's been at 1. Now, personally, I like Leo. I have no problems with Mr. Plensky personally. But in order to raise the bar, like we talk about, accountability, it starts with representation. People in the South Ward don't have fair representation. And there's people on this council, these council members, that want to, they want to give you lip service about accountability and raise the bar and all these things, but they're not willing to say that it's not okay for the people of the South Ward not to have any representation. That's the problem that I have. Now, the question I have is for the solicitor. Is there anything in our bylaws which the council can bring to a vote and dismiss a council member that hasn't been in his seat for more than 2 meetings?
We would, believe me.
First of all, he's on 3 to 11, and you could call to find out if he's working or not.
This is the point. If you're going to be working from 3 to 11, if you're going to be working from 4 to 7, listen, if that's what he wants to do, then he doesn't have the ability, he should have never ran in the first place. If he's going to miss this much, wait a second, I have the floor.
I don't think you realize what he does.
He shouldn't have ran for council if he wasn't going to fulfill his obligation. That's number one. The second thing, I have no problem moving the days. If we want to move the days so Leo could be here, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. I'm flexible. If you want Leo Plensky to be here, right, I will move the times. I have not. But if not, we need to move, right? Everybody, this council has to move as a whole because it's not fair to the people of the South Ward, which in turn, it's not fair to the people of the town. You have a whole segment of our population, our town, that isn't being represented. Bottom line. Mr. Salerno, is there anything...
Mr. Devine, to answer your question, the shame of it is you know the answer. This has been stated many times before.
All right, well, I'm listening.
Let me finish. All right? This council does not have the authority, it's never had the authority to dismiss any council person from missing meetings, all right? It's been made clear many times to you. You know the answer to that. Everybody out there knows the answer to that.
Is there a bylaw?
Okay? There is none. There's nothing in the code that allows you. okay? The courts say you leave it up to the voters.
And who are the voters? Are we the voters of this, aren't we? Oh, so the South Ward, so they have a special election. Right, I understand, I'm making a joke because it doesn't make sense. We're here, elected people of the town, that represent everybody of the town, right? Like Ms. Cullen said, not just the east, not just the north, we all have people that we're involved with, right?
Mr. Minor,
We
you're suggesting
represent.
that when a majority of this council doesn't like what some councilmen are doing, they can vote them off council? Is that what
That's
you're
not what I'm
suggesting?
saying. I'm saying when there is a councilman that doesn't show up for one out of 6 meetings, there needs to be a change. The people of the South Ward, and I understand.
Is there anything else under other business?
I do.
Okay, can we just move on from this topic and get to
Pat, what
something
do you
else
have?
we can...
Insurance money was mentioned tonight, $19,000 for the roof. Was there any mention of insurance money for the trees at the lagoon? We had 4 weeping willow trees that went down. Is there any money for those to be rehabbed or be put back in?
We have, that as part of our application for federal funding to replace those trees. I mean, I believe Mr. Winslow, as a matter of fact, we were working on that today for a while, so.
Okay.
So we're aware of the weeping willow trees, and, we're trying to get that money so we can replant them.
Okay, again, I'm going to bring it up again, the waterfalls in the
aerator.
Aerator, water, I mean, anything with the lagoon, with this,
I believe
I know they were there today, I seen them, but I don't know what they were doing.
we're having an electrical problem now with it, yeah. See that, we got the aerator back that was damaged, but we're having electrical problems.
Okay.
Mr. Pezza.
Are we going to, excuse me, Mr. President, I want to just finish up real quick. Are we going to include lights on this?
Yes, council said to put lights on it, yeah.
One other thing, real quick, if you can have George's crew, because I missed the last work session, check behind New Buckley Street. We have a lot of trees down where the canal is. If you could forward that to George, and you guys can work around this George's schedule, greatly appreciate that.
Anything else?
That's it.
Greg?
I have a few things, and, I know we usually reserve this for the work session, but they actually came
I
out
don't
this
know
week.
why
so-
we're dealing with this tonight.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I missed the work session, I'm sorry.
The, on Trenton Avenue, there is a new phenomenon of a rail car yard. And I know, and in speaking to Mr. Dillon, he's made it very clear that that Amtrak and those people are some of the most difficult people you can possibly deal with. And I know, just from teaching law, that there are all these interstate issues and federal issues. But it appears to me that the people that are doing what they're doing, making noise, a very loud noise, is a private company. Now, I am not a lawyer, so I don't know the ins and outs, but it just seems to me that if anyone, regular resident, was making the kind of noise that private company is making, that they would be cited. I don't know if that citation will be successful, but I'd like to recommend that we move in some way, whether we start citing them, even if it's not successful, we at least bring it to the forefront. But I just think something needs to be done about that exchange that's going on there. It's been hazardous to a lot of
Any
people.
way to cite the people that are getting this material delivered? Because that's what it's for.
Not the people who receive it.
I think something that, I agree with Greg, I think we need to work on this immediately.
It's just...
We had a
Not
meeting
only
here
that, the
once.
smell as well.
We had a meeting
The
here
diesel
once, and
smell
basically they
there
told
as
us, do
well.
what you want to do, because we're a rail company, we can
Right.
do whatever we want. But
Right,
I
I know.
agree, nobody should be out there 4 o'clock in the morning with kids that got to go to school.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Solano. I know that we're on shaky legal ground, but if we were to cite them, are they obliged to respond to that citation, at least?
Yeah, they are, depending where it's brought. If it's brought on a district court level, they don't necessarily even have to respond because they could automatically appeal. But at some point, they're going to have to
Right,
address it.
and,
Yeah.
you know, if, maybe we reach out to them again, maybe we make an effort to come to a common understanding again, but if they keep blowing us off, I just feel like we have to, at some point in time, push that issue where, if it has to be something where we meet, because it's not only the noise and not only the smell, I honestly believe that whatever's coming from those rail cars is dangerous to
It
people's
is.
health. And I think it's something that needs to be addressed. And then I just have two other things. The current broadcast schedule, I know we worked on it for a very long time. It's off again. And I would just like maybe to see if we can get Matt to let us know why at some point next month. But I know just people that are trying to tune in are lost after our conversation from 2 meetings ago about getting that on a steady schedule. So that's all I have.
You got a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.